world is falling. Can't you feel the sound? Voices shouting, but no truth is found. We draw our lines between left and right, but love is silent while we choose to fight. How many tears must we cry before we see each other and close the war? Nobody cares until somebody dies. We're blind to the truth, deaf to the cries. Nobody cares about humanity. Hearts in chains, lost in disparity. Forget about races, can't you see? We are all the same, you and me. Wake up world, can't you see? We are losing our humanity. We are people with hearts that bleed the same, yet all we do is want to place the blame. Wake up world, can't you see? We are losing our humanity. Families broken, torn by pain. Another headline, just another day. We point our fingers, we shift the blame, but everyone still pleads the same. If love is fading, what will remain? A broken world full of endless pain. Nobody cares until somebody dies. We're blind to the truth, deaf to the cries. Nobody cares about humanity. Hearts in chains, lost disparity. Forget about our races, can't you see? We are all the same, you and me. Wake up world, can't you see? We are losing our humanity. We are people with hearts that bleed the same, yet all we do is want to place the blame. Wake up world, can't you see? We are losing our humanity. Take my hand, let's break these chains. Heal the hurt, erase the shame. One world, one voice, one destiny. Together we can rewrite history. Nobody cares until somebody dies. We're blind to the truth, deaf to the cries. Nobody cares about humanity. Hearts in chains, lost disparity. Forget about our races, can't you see? We're all the same, you and me. We are people with hearts that bleed the same. Yet all we do is want to place the blame. Wake up world, can't you see? We are losing our humanity. Wake up world, before it's too late. Open your eyes, love can still change our fate. One world, one people, hearts that beat as one. Don't let our humanity be gone.
engine is starting
For
up.
launch. GC, go. Guidance, go. Fido, go. Prop, go. GNC, go. Max, go. Eagle, go. Ecom,
Go pending final steps to cabin link check.
2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the Rift Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Hello, all you freaks out there. This is Ryan,
This is Rhonda.
and welcome to the freaking awesome paranormal show, where we have a little pivot, a bit of a pivot tonight. We were going to have Nissa talk to us about Dungeons and Dragons tonight. But I got a message from her on Friday saying that she is going to go have some surgery done. She has some stuff going on in her brain. She needs surgery for. So this is a historic first. I've never had anybody call out of the show for brain surgery.
Yeah, I think it's an excusable offense.
Yes, I mean, I guess we could let that slide just this once.
Oh gosh.
We should better not try that again.
No.
No.
She can't have two brain surgeries.
We can't have two brain surgeries is just ridiculous, guys. So
Yeah,
let's send our prayers and positive vibes to Nissa, and hope she recovers quickly from her brain surgery. Also, let's give our shout out, positive vibes to Teresa up in Canada. She lost one of her fur babies today.
Aw.
So we want to send her our love down here, and
Yes.
make sure that she knows that we're thinking about her, and
Yeah.
send positive vibes up Canada's way. You may have to. I don't think you have to change it to metric. I don't know if it counts if it comes from down here or not. I'm pretty sure it does. So, but yeah, this is going to be a fun show. We are going to be talking to our friend John Pagano. He is a historical interpreter at Henricus Park.
Nice.
He wrote a book about Pocahontas, and he knows a lot about colonial America. And I wanted to have him on to talk about the event they have coming up at the end of October for Henricus and some of the paranormal activity that's been caught out there, but also talk about the what paranormal meant in like colonial America. Like,
Yeah, I'm very excited to hear about that.
Yeah. So waiting on him to show up to come on the queue here. But there are lots of cool stuff. Of course, it is National Ryan Day, and I was actually surprised that the banks weren't closed.
Ryan Day.
And I kind of felt like I needed to talk to the school and ask them why they weren't closed. Schools weren't closed. Why the flags weren't flown at half mast.
Right.
As a tribute to the awesomeness of Ryan. But apparently I was the only one celebrating today. Me and Rihanna were
You and every other Ryan.
That's right. In Rye-tober.
Ryan's over.
How was your day? How was your Ryan Day? How'd you celebrate the goodness?
Working.
Working. That's it's one way to
working. Just
one way to
working. They
celebrate.
wouldn't let me call in for Ryan Day either. I would have tried, but I think they would have said no.
What kind of monsters do you work for?
I know.
One of Scrooge's. Do you work for celebrating National Ryan Day? I told Angie, I'm like, I got home from taking RJ to school. I was like, do you think I should have took him to school? She was like, why? National Ryan Day. Got to stay home and celebrate. It is.
Was he out yesterday? Were kids out?
No, he didn't get it. He didn't get off for Columbus Day.
Oh, okay.
Or Indigenous People Day. Happy Indigenous People Day.
Yes.
Late to Jeannie.
Yep.
Correa, who actually played one of our intro songs tonight, Losing Our Humanity. Check her out on Spotify. What's up, Lois? What's up, Vet Girl? Hey, Kevin. How's it going?
For joining.
It's going to be a good show.
It is.
I don't want to take too much time on the banter because I know we got a lot to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
We got a few
kind of our first ghost stories.
I'm excited.
It'll be fun.
We got a few events coming up here. We got a flag fundraiser at the Cabin on 360 on November 8th. And at Henricus Park on October 24th and 25th, Friday and Saturday. This is Things That Go Bump in the Night event from 7 o'clock to 8:30 p.m. Now this is really cool. What they do is they have you come. You start at the visitor center, and they take you to different spots around the park. You should definitely come out to this. I'll be out there.
What day is it?
Friday, October 24th, and Saturday, October 25th.
Okay, I could do the 24th.
8:30 p.m.
Cool.
They take groups around the different parts of the park, and they tell different scary stories that kind of goes with what part of the park you're in. So if you're in the Native American part, you'll get like a Native American legend, or if you go like. Sometimes, like John will be in Rock Hall in the end of the park, and he'll tell a story and stuff. So it's really fun. I'm going to be one of the tour guides up
cool.
there. I promise to try not to get lost. It's always I'm always so paranoid about going to the wrong place or something.
Yeah.
Like, actually, I think the last time I did it, it was like we were in the church, and it was like during a really intense part of the story, and I had a really bad tickle in my throat. I couldn't stop myself from coughing. You know when you try to like stop yourself,
and that makes it worse, and
you can't stop yourself. You probably sound worse when trying to stop yourself than actually coughing.
Yeah.
But he's like really getting really quiet and stuff and telling the story, and it's like all of a sudden you go. So I'm actually surprised he invited me back to.
That's really cool.
I'm gonna have a pocket full of halls when I go, for sure. I don't want to be kicked out. So happy Tuesday, Lois. Hey, Cody. What's up, brother?
Hey,
So
Michael
yeah,
Brooks.
it's going to be a good time. I can't believe it's almost the end of October. I
I
mean, middle of
know.
October.
Like
It's
we're
going by
midway through. There's like 2 more weekends after this one. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was looking at the schedule, and I'm like, we're already to like October. It felt like we were in July 2 days ago.
I agree. I
And now
agree.
it's like, what is up,
Hey,
Ed? Howie
Paranormal.
Odell. Howie Odell's in the house. Howie knows all about Henricus. We've been out there a few
I've
times.
been out there once for an event that transcended. And that was.
We need to come out.
I can't remember if it was 2019 or 2020.
We need
A
to.
long time ago.
We need to go out. We go out and investigate. You should come out with us.
Yes, I would
Yeah.
love to. Hey, Emily.
What's up, Emily?
Souls.
So the freaking awesome playlist. That was a good show. We had a good show last
Yeah.
Saturday. No, Sunday. Saturday. What am I talking about? Sunday. We had a great show last Sunday. A lot of good music. Let's see. Howie's song was "Cars Let the Good Times Roll."
Okay.
I'm going to go with. I don't even know. Michael Jackson, "Man in the Mirror." Totally random.
I'm going to go with Cher, Dark Lady.
I take that back. Michael Jackson, "Will You Be There?" That's my song.
Okay.
Okay. And I asked John for his song. Yeah, I forgot to ask him for it earlier. When I bring him on, but first we need
A card.
order in our lives.
All
Right?
right,
We need to know
haven't
how
even
to live our
shuffled.
lives.
I haven't even
Read us a
shuffled.
card.
What do we need to know as a collective for this week? Other than that it's National Ryan Day, if you didn't already know.
I mean, really, what else do you need to know?
All right. Okay. This one feels good. Ooh, this is a new one. Very cool. We got, it doesn't like my, I've got a background on because my office is a mess. But this one is actually, it looks pink from what I'm showing you, but it's actually a bunch of yellows and oranges. If I can get it. Do this. Nope.
It's tough to see with the background.
Yeah. It says friendship. So I'm going to pull another card with it right after it. Ask the right questions. So, I think for friendship, along with ask the right question, what it feels like to me, looking at both of these, is sometimes I feel like we've got to evaluate the people we keep in our circles. I think as an adult, you start learning that you have a lot of acquaintances and very few friends, true friends.
True.
And you get there by asking the questions that make you understand which bucket they fall in, right? Friendship will light up so many. Being with the right people will light up the right things in your life that you need. You'll feel supported. You'll feel drawn to things. They will raise you up. They will push you in the right direction. So I think when you're dealing with people that you feel like are close with you, sometimes you've got to pay attention, unfortunately, to whether they are lifting you up, catapulting you forward in life, or if they're holding you back, or if they're, maybe not. I would say whether they're like fair weather friends. You need to make sure that you're keeping quality people in your life. And unfortunately, we, all have some in our wheelhouse that aren't quite quality. It doesn't mean we can't be nice to them. It doesn't mean that we can't be cordial with them. It's just to me, that one came through when it said ask the right questions. It's like we talk a lot about positivity and things like this, but I think this is a call to everyone to really evaluate who you're spending time with, and if they're pushing you forward or holding you back.
Sometimes you need a filter, a friendship filter
Yep.
that gets rid over, and then you kind of shift it, kind of get rid of the friends that you don't need. Not really get rid of them, but maybe kind of, like you said, maybe not try so hard with someone who doesn't try so hard with you.
Yeah, that comes up a lot. When you start noticing that you're the only one reaching out, or you're the one that reaches out most of the time.
Yeah, you can almost get afraid that if you don't reach out to them, you'll never hear from them.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, it's tough because especially you have friends that you thought you were really close with, and then you said, well, I'm gonna take time off and like not message them first, and then you don't hear back from them. Like, well, what the heck?
Yeah.
It's a tough pill to swallow sometimes.
Very much so. Howard, my own green screen, that would be cool. But really, I only have this on because I've been organizing my office this evening, and there's like bins standing behind me, so I didn't want that to be in the screen. Emily, correct. Some friendships will drain you. If you find that you're also another key thing that I notice with friendships is when you call a friend, if you will, and they immediately like unload on you everything that's going on with them, but they never ask how you are.
Yeah.
And that happens from time to time if a friend has something really dramatic going on or important going on in their life. That can be expected, but when it's every time.
Not all the time, yeah.
Yeah, that's another key thing to be like.
Got to be give and take, not just give or take all the time. So that was great advice to, make sure you focus on yourself and make sure, people that you give your attention to deserve your attention.
Exactly.
And so now we are going to talk with John Pagano from Henricus Historical Park about the ghosts of Henricus and paranormal in colonial America. What is up, man? Welcome back to the show. Hey, you even have Scooby-Doo joining us. Special guest appearance by Scooby-Doo. Guys, man, I didn't expect this. Didn't expect Scooby to be on the show.
He's my favorite.
I think needed.
Yeah, I'm back in.
Okay, there you go.
Man, so first of all, I need to ask you a question real quick. We're asking all our guests to give us one song we're gonna put on a playlist at the end of the year. A freaking awesome playlist of all our guests. So if you have a song you'd like to suggest for us to put on the playlist, we'd love to hear it.
Oh, it's easy. It's Iron Man, Black Sabbath.
There we go. Love
Good choice.
Can you do me a favor and just kind of introduce yourself and give a little bit of a background of your what you do?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so those of you who don't know me, I'm John Pagano. I am the interpretation supervisor for the Division of Historic Sites in Chesterfield County. And a principal site that I've been at the longest is Henricus Historical Park. And so with that position, I've pretty much led history at a reconstructed 17th century English and native interpretive settlement. So the land of which that's on has been lived on for about 300 plus years and was finally vacated during World War I in 1917 when the lightkeeper that lived on that property had to move because the troops training at Fort Lee used Henricus' property at that time, which was Dutch Gap Canal, as a artillery range before they went to France. So it's a really neat property. But now my role is expanded to being responsible for doing programming at 5 different historic locations, including 3 or 4 historic buildings across Chesterfield County, Virginia. So it's a lot, including the Midlothian Mines, which is right in the middle of Chesterfield. So lots of stuff. that's on my plate. And so Henricus has given me an opportunity to expand my horizons with paranormal, which has been a part of the job for the last 18 years of my life. So, but yeah, so if it's like historical programming, my staff and I, we present it to the public, and we help out our educators with school programming as well, and everything else in between.
That's amazing. It's really cool that you're able to go to different locations. You know, I've seen some of your stuff up in Chesterfield. What other locations are you going to be at? Do you represent?
Sure. You know, a bunch of these sites are being renovated now because the buildings are extremely old, and when we acquired them from the private owners, they were not in the best shape. But you know, give you an example, one of the sites that is now under my interpretive care is Eppington Plantation, which is on Southwest Chesterfield. And that house was built by Thomas Jefferson's best friend, Francis Epps. They both went to William and Mary together. They both married each other's half sisters. I think I said that wrong. They both married the half sisters.
Yeah, we got it. Don't not marry each other. Yeah, it's not incest stuff going on.
Yeah,
It's
I was like,
yeah,
did I say that wrong? I might have said that
swapping
wrong.
sisters type of thing.
Yeah, Eppington's a neat place. You know, it's you know, Jefferson left his kids there when he went to France after the Revolution. You know, and so Sally Hemings lived there for a while with the children, and it was there that Jefferson's youngest daughter, Lucy, she died at about 2 years old with Epps's 2-year-old daughter. They both died the same time from the whooping cough, and you know, it's kind of horrific being able to stand literally in the room that they died in that house. But
wow,
that house has a lot of obvious history, but a lot of tragedy with it too. So that'll be really a lot of fun in the next few years once that place is renovated to where we can operate it regularly for programming. So so that's one of the buildings. That's probably it's probably our oldest one that's in our care right now.
Mm-hmm.
The other one that's being renovated right now is the Reverend John Alexander Strachan house, which is in Eastern Chesterfield, and that is known as Point of Rocks. What that's mostly known for is that during the Civil War, General Butler chose that location as his principal hospital for his troops at Bermuda 100. And, you know, they treated about 3,000 to 4,000 sick and wounded there. And the building itself was used as a headquarters for the surgeons. But, you know, the sad part is that they buried about 1,300 on the property. Those that obviously succumbed to their wounds and their sicknesses.
Mm-hmm.
So that property is, again, the house being renovated. That'll be ready to go. I'll be interpreting with my staff there next summer in the fall.
Okay.
So that's exciting. Right now, historic Castlewood, which is it was built in the Strachan house was built in 1841. The property is obviously older, and in 1864 was the hospital. Into 1865, it's got a lot of energy there. I mean, all these houses do. I'll get into that later. The other property of note is historic Castlewood, which has already been renovated, and we'll be ready to go there next summer in the fall as well. And that building was built in 1817. It was the home of the county clerk of Chesterfield County, Park Poindexter. And that house is reputed to be one of the most haunted buildings in Chesterfield County.
Oh, wow.
So that's a really interesting building. I've been working out of there recently, and so that's a fun place. There's a school that was built for the Black community, and this it's called Pleasant View. I think that's the name. I don't know if I'm getting that right, but it was built in the 1930s for the Black community in Southern Chesterfield, and somehow or another that building survived, the last almost 100 years. Those are a few examples. There's a couple more that are on the horizon. The Midlothian mines is obviously a vast site that you can go there. And the one thing about the mines is, there's some ruins there, some other stuff, but the amount of miners that died on that property is pretty crazy. So yeah, I got a lot of historic properties that I have to be responsible for with historic programming the next couple of years. And Henricus is pretty much what we're doing right now. But starting next summer, we'll be at Castlewood and Point of Rocks. The renovations at Eppington are going to be a few years, so that's got a little bit of time.
So you'll be staying busy.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you about, before we get to actual Henricus, I would like to talk to you about what the paranormal meant in colonial America. I know there was a lot of stuff with witches back then, but were ghosts also kind of in the mix there, or what was their view on the paranormal back then?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? You have to kind of follow the literature. You have to, what were they writing? And if you go back to the 17th century, and you're somebody who was born during Shakespeare's time, Shakespeare's writings are full of ghosts and all the matter of what could be the paranormal. And the thing is, that was at a time when English society was really mixing with what is true witchcraft versus artificial witchcraft. And witchcraft can either be organic to paganism or the devil, and they had to sort that out. So they, in the 17th century, they were using King James's writings as a kind of I don't know, it's like a manual of sorts. And that book that James of Scotland, then King James of England, he wrote a book called Demonology. And that book is tried and true to what you're supposed to study if you're identifying what the devil is, what a witch is, what a ghost is, all these things that he's going to kind of be an intellectual to write about. But, James is getting advisors from all over the intellectual community at that time to help him out with that. James is going to reinforce the idea that there is a line in scripture that says, "Unto witches suffer death." And James, in his book Demonology, is very clear that if they are true witches bound to the devil, they are to be purged of that by fire usually. But he also believed that in most cases they're not true witches. And if you're going to falsely indict or prosecute someone who's not a true witch, then you're going to be executed. So James was trying to be very fair. And of course, that stuff that he had into his reign kind of goes after him. And then, you get into the other time periods, into early colonial America, and you have Cotton Mather's writings, right? So you have his stuff on witchcraft. And so that's really what it's about, right? It's like ghosts are kind of subjective to whatever religion you had. But witches have to be sorted out because the witch is considered the pathway to the devil. And the way that a lot of people looked in that colonial society was almost like the Wizard of Oz. Some people believe that there's good witches and there's bad witches. And that stays around for quite some time. And then you get into the, I would say the early 1900s, right? Get out of the colonial period. We're a young country. And what happens is, because we have religious freedom now, and the writers are not bound by any laws that the church can condemn. you start to have the writers that are dabbling into ghost world, and you're going to start with guys like Washington Irving, and then you're going to go into the Poes, all the people you think about. Herman Melville, right? Is Moby Dick a ghost, a spirit, a demon, or is it a real whale? Right. So
Yeah.
I'd never thought of that.
So when you think about the topic, the first half of the 19th century, that's what the writers go for. And so what you're looking at is pretty much when we become a young country and we're all about freedom, independence, and liberty, it really becomes it really expands on the idea of, can we have now different independent thoughts about what it means to be, the unliving, the dead, is there purgatory? Is there a in-between world? Is there other dimensions? Is there a link between pagan beliefs and Christianity beliefs? Like, all those things started to get really processed. And that's why when you get into the heart of the Victorian period, the whole idea of the paranormal explodes. And then towards that end into World War I, let's bring out the seances and the Ouija boards.
Yeah.
So, and that's how it goes. So that, like I said, the colonial period, they're still bound by what the church governs, because the church is the law, and the law of the land is bound by the king, and you have to follow the church, otherwise you're being in sedition with the king.
So were people not allowed to talk about, ghosts and stuff like that? Was it like was it looked down upon to write about spirits and stuff of that nature in early America because they were still religious? I remember you talking with us about the founding of Henricus, and how you said if you missed church like 3 times you were whipped or flogged or something like that. If spiritual chat, was that looked down upon in really early America?
Yeah, the monarchs controlled the narrative, right? Queen Elizabeth, she dies, King James takes over. James is a super intellectual, right? And he believes that he's going to be the benevolent intellectual that's going to enlighten his people about all these sensitive topics, including, the fear that everyone has of what's in the darkness. And James wanted to help people with that. But because James is the head of the church, James is also going to steer the direction the church goes with their teachings, with their beliefs, right? I'll give you an example. This is probably not the best example, but the idea of gravestones doesn't really become common until after King James is dead and you're in the middle of the 17th century. They just simply believed that your body was like an old burned cardboard box, and when you put it in the ground, you're just getting rid of this trashy eyesore of a vessel, and that people shouldn't go to your grave to talk to you or to give respect, because there's nothing in there. There's a empty shell of what was a body. That if you want to talk to a person through God in heaven, you can do that pretty much anywhere that you stand. So the changing even on that happens through the 17th century, where they believe that the gravestone should be a respectful reminder of someone who was once living. So you had to be careful, because think about, I know this sounds kind of simplistic, but in a time where people were like, well, there's nothing in the ground there. Imagine you're somebody in a graveyard and it's, sunset, you're down there and it's your former loved one, and people are walking by and they see you talking to a grave, right? they're going to presume that you're trying to do what?
Witchcraft.
You're trying to conjure, right? You're trying to raise the spirit out of the grave. So there was a lot of fears about that. So yeah, there's definitely, I mean, it changes with each generation, and until we are free from English rule, it really is governed by what the king, the Archbishop of Canterbury, the religious advisors, the church leaders, to all of those religious leaders that are here in the colonies that are Anglican have to answer to what's being governed back in England. That's why, again, they don't like dissenters, because, you know, those people can have different views about those matters of the afterlife.
Ryan, you're muted.
I might have put Ryan to sleep.
No, I saw that his mouth moving, but nothing was being heard.
Oh man, Ryan, you got to ask me a question, because we got dead air right now. I'm just going to start talking about things, like weird things.
He's gonna come back. That was so bizarre.
Ryan's taking a bathroom break. He's just like not showing anybody. Like, Ryan, do you have a Snapple
There it is.
bottle?
Am I back?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I have the mute button is like on the tip of is on the front of the microphone. I may have hit it by accident. So sorry about that. I asked, how did the witch craze affect Virginia?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's only one. There's maybe one or two discernible witch cases in Virginia, and one we've done that at my site. We've actually done the complete inquiry, you know, dramatic inquiry that story kind of unfolds. It was basically a woman who was observed by many of her neighbors to be doing some strange things to them. And of course, one of the most damning things was that she would use her left hand in sewing. And, you know, all the other things she did really were kind of just different. But she had also been trying to heal somebody, and that person who she was trying to heal had died. And that child, you know, the family was quite upset, and they, of course, you know, tried to. It was the easiest way to get an execution on somebody that you feel cost your child's life. And like James's, demonology says, you got to put the people that are accusing somebody of a witch. They're more or less on trial. James wants to make sure that in his book Demonology, and certainly through his church leaders, that the specter of witchcraft does not make its head, you know, kind of appear into English society. And that's ultimately what makes the Salem witch trials a giant fiasco, is that was many years after the English had long pretty much gotten rid of the witch cases. So it's like English society and the leadership was trying to root out the old funny business of false, accusations of witchcraft. And they had already known that. They figured out that the cases of witchcraft that existed in the 16th and early 17th century, most of them were pretty much debunked, right, after the fact. People had been executed, and then later, other people are like, well, yeah, those were probably not correct decisions. So James wanted
Hindsight,
to make,
I guess.
Yep. And James, to his credit, he just wanted to see that bad reputation of it. Remember, James is not English. James is from Scotland. And Scotland has a very strong Catholic root to it. And James was specifically ushered away. This is a strange story. I feel like I'm going to digress in these stories, Ryan. But
It's fine.
It's good.
Queen Elizabeth was super crazy about Catholicism coming back to England, right? That's why her and the Spaniards didn't get along. They fought 27-year war. And Queen Elizabeth, of course, was extremely bothered by the fact that her sister, Mary, Queen of Scots, or is it a cousin? I always get confused. But that's King James's mother, right? Mary, Queen of Scots, who is an unrepenting Catholic, or I should say Catholic supporter. Ultimately, she gets executed. James, her son, is feared that he's going to take over England at some point as a Scottish monarch, and he's going to be soft to Catholicism. So he's whisked away to be a moderate and raised, everywhere that he can, so he doesn't come back in and have the wrong view. When James takes the throne, and he has a son, Prince Henry. Henry is born by Anne of Denmark, who is James's wife. She's not English, she's not Scottish, she's from Denmark, but she's Catholic leaning. And so Henry, the heir to the throne, is taken by James and hidden from his mother several occasions, so he doesn't get raised to be soft against Catholicism. And so James is always trying to balance out the Anglican part of his life and the Catholic part of his life. The two don't see the same on the ghost world.
Mm-hmm.
They have different views of the afterlife. So, and that's that's another part of the story. And it's like the one thing when you were asking, I'm like, it's until we're a United States, everything that happens in the colonies of America is just basically a reflection on what the English leaders are governing the church to believe. And that's pretty much it.
Is Prince Henry, is that what Henricus is named after, or
Yep.
Henrico?
Yep.
You see, it all ties together.
Yeah.
Right there. Talk about tying a big knot. That's pretty cool. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with the witch trials here, like in the States, it's like anybody could accuse anyone of being a witch, even if if you had any kind of beef with someone or didn't just felt like it. Like, I'm just going to accuse so and so of being a witch just for fun. And that's pretty scary because you never know who you're going to piss off, who's going to accuse you of doing something. There's got to be just a terrible time.
Well, that's the thing James was getting at. The courts were getting bogged down by so many false cases that he had just pretty much had it and said, look, if this gets bounced back on you for false accusations, you're going to find yourself either in the dungeon or you're going to be killed. And that straightened the witchcraft stuff out under James. People were not going to mess around with that. After he's gone and English goes through turmoil with the English Civil War, which is now the Puritan, like the hardcore Puritans take over England. So what do you think the view of the afterlife is and the ghost world is with the hardcore Puritans? What do you think their view is?
Not very fond. Very, very religious.
No, I mean they do away with Christmas. They do away with. I mean, so until they get out of power and English government changes back to its normal self, it's just a bad view. It's a bad time. The 17th century is a bad time for England and its changes. And so you get into the 18th century, you start to hit the big Enlightenment, right? The Enlightenment comes around where it's the biggest one, and people are starting to see humanism and all these things, and you're starting to see people believe that there is a God that is our religion, but it's also the same God that controls nature and the universe all in one. And a lot of that deism starts to shape how people think about certainly death and the afterlife.
Wow. I guess like it's just everyone's different point of view from different time periods.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
yeah. I mean, like I said, it's what period do you think, really gave people the idea that they could consider that there's ghosts and apparitions and they're real? And you have it, like you had people in England in the 17th century who were like, hey, I'm a soldier in the Tower of London, and I just saw a beheaded woman walk down the corridor, right? And
Mhm.
there's only a few beheaded women, and let's just say that King Henry VIII was responsible for that. So it's like English society, it definitely it shapes what a lot of what we know is the topics that we study. But you also got to remember that once the 19th century comes around and the Germans heavily merge with English America, that's when it explodes, because the Germans have a completely different depth to what they view as, the paranormal world.
Mm.
And I'll give you an example, right? I always use this because it's my favorite. When Washington Irving is writing about, the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, what's he focusing on? He's focusing on the superstitious Dutch.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what you have is basically when you start having where we live today is a melting pot, right? And you start to thin out Anglo America with a little bit of all these different influences, then everybody kind of affirms that, oh, wait, you have ghosts from that part of the world too? Oh, wow. Well, hey, let's put our heads together on that. And so that's why when you have the explosion of American literature in the early 19th century, man, it sets up what we know today as Edgar Allan Poe, Washington Irving, Herman Melville. You can just go down the list.
Mm-hmm.
I've been
Wow.
really thinking about that since you've been saying this, because now I see how witchcraft exploded here, even though, and I think a lot of it can be attributed to the fact that Virginia was such a melting pot, and I only know that because I've never been a huge history buff until I got older, but I was looking into some of my own ancestry, and I have ancestors from Italy and Ireland and Scotland, and they all were in the Appalachia. Well, if you think about like the Appalachia being where like some of like the tinctures and the granny medicine and things like that were, it came from these other nationalities. There's no wonder people were like, what are they making and why are they giving it to this kid? You know what I mean? So it's very interesting to me.
Yeah, my favorite time period for the subject of ghosts in America, when you study the Bell Witch of Tennessee, that story is literally coming out at the time when Washington Irving's Legend of Sleepy Hollow is being published. It's all happening, and young America, being that they want to be open to new ideas, they are starting to now receive this stuff and start to spread it. And so, yeah, you're right. You have, the Irish are coming here and they're like, well, we've been having that in we still have the Gaelic words for all these these versions of the occult, the devils, witchcraft. I mean, the Irish were deep for a long time. So what you then have is this mixing, and what's going to happen? All the bester starts to get spread. So if I was to ask people, hey, what's your favorite name of something that's a superstition south of the border? How many people have heard the term chupacabra before?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Like that's a name that until a certain point, people be like, I wouldn't know what that was. But now we're hearing stories from other parts of the land. So I consider yourself in the pre-internet world, the pre-telephone world, the pre-automobile world, where people rarely leave their counties. And then somebody from the outside comes in with a story. And then they start telling you that story. That's how it happens. I mean, well, we're doing exactly the same thing right now on this media as people did in the taverns and in the homes of the colonial past, right? So,
or I mean, I guess it's different now because I guess were people open-minded to that kind of stuff, like to hear it, and because you said people that you live in a county and you have this belief system in the county, you know what you know, and then someone comes in from a different part, different count, different land, and starts telling you these stories. Would it take a while for people to start accepting other people's points of view when it came to that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Well, I use my reference points are the things that I've read since I was young, and I always go back to my guy, Washington Irving, because he, in his writings, not just Legend of Sleepy Hollow, not just, the Headless Horseman, but other stuff that he writes. In his story with the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, he's specifically using Ichabod Crane, who is a Connecticut Yankee, all right, from New England, coming to the Dutch New York community along the Hudson. And what's the character say to all those people? Oh, you guys are all dumb. Well, how do you guys believe that exists? Because it can't. There's got to be a scientific explanation. Yeah. See, us Connecticut Yankees, we have long rid ourselves of the old superstitions, and we go by science. And so he's using that guy to say, well, you superstitious Dutch, you just believe any little knock in the woods is a ghost. Right? So that's what he's getting at with that, is that not all the communities in his time they didn't all see eye to eye with that. But you have to go to the places where the mixing is happening, and some of those communities were around and some were not. And Brian, like you said, how receptive were they?
Yeah.
And again, it depends where you are.
So he was taking both sides of the argument. Like, okay, here's the Connecticut Yankee and here's the Dutch, and showing kind of both sides of the argument.
Yeah. Well, New England, after the Salem witch trials and all the other stuff that took place up there, they clamped down on pretty much anything that was along those lines, just because it had made a giant embarrassment, in that turn of the century into the 1700s. It took a long time for that stuff to kind of filter out of the New England communities, whereas the Dutch were probably sitting there in their taverns going, we believe this stuff and we embrace it, and we don't try to do anything but talk about it. You know, the Dutch never prosecuted anybody in America for anything, so it's like, okay.
So I do want to start talking about the last part of the show, the little time we have left. Talk about Henricus, some of the activity that people have experienced out there. What do you think it is about your site that makes it so active?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's funny because I always try to determine how active the site is. I guess that everybody I know that's been there multiple times has gotten multiple levels of evidence, right? You know, if you take the old school thinking, right, it's Henricus is surrounded almost on all sides by water. There's that. The soil is crazy soil there. You ask anybody that works there, there's something in the soil that you could put the most heavily treated pieces of wood in the ground there, and it erodes everything. I don't know if it's the chemistry of the land, the water around it. You add on top of that you have the 16th, 17th century native communities living all around it. You had Sir Thomas Dale's settlement there, all the hardships and death that came along with that. The various plantations that existed there with the merging of English colonists with eventually slave labor. You add on to that the American Revolution, the conflict, the battles around it. You get to the Civil War and the fighting and the death that took place on that ground. I can go on and on. I'm guessing it's a mix of the science, that what energy generates some of the hauntings there, and what composes those hauntings is a mix of residual and intelligent stuff. I was there not too long ago with Christina Harold, and we were just doing we were small group EVP stuff, and we got in probably 1 5-6 minute burst recording. We had probably 7 solid grade A responses answering our questions.
Wow.
And some of which was a little bit of ridicule on me and the people that were in the room. And that's been what we've done recently. Ryan, you were there with me not too long ago, right? Doing some stuff. But I think whatever's there does really well with the small nucleus groups of 3 to 5 people. Yeah. And I think the large events don't get as much for whatever reason. I can tell you, Ryan, the other day in the building I'm normally at, Rock Hall, I had just probably that day said, well, maybe everything's bored of me here and I haven't had a good interaction in a while. And I am closing up the windows in the Reverend's house as I'm going to blow out a lantern, because this is the end of the day. I thought somebody had come in the Rock Hall gate and walked in to ask me a question, because it was like a man with a strong Southern drawl was right behind my shoulder, man. And I heard him go, yeah, right. And I heard like a clear his throat. And then it was they started talking. And the only part I caught was it said something like, you got to get there. I'm like, I got to get there with what? And then I turned around to see who was there, and it was nobody. And
oh, my gosh. Nobody outside either? Nobody walking around outside?
I'm like, somebody must have come in, and a fisherman or somebody. And I ran out. And we had our last visitor, and it was a solo woman. She was gone. There was nobody to be found. And so I couldn't figure out. I'm like, I came back in and I started saying, I was like, well done. You
Yes.
got me. You got me. And I've done that before. And the thing is, I couldn't figure out, well, what's different now if this was the voice? And you know, it's funny because the voice that afterwards it made me think about is that stupid voice that I heard on Dennis's recordings when him and the others were in there late at night, and he mentioned the Bible.
Oh,
And
getting this or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Getting this.
Yes, that voice. It was that deep Southern man's voice. So anyway, I basically I went around. I asked. This is the next day. I was asking Amanda, and I said, "What did you guys? Did you guys do anything?" And I noticed they did something in the house that I noticed for a few days, but I didn't change it because I don't know why they did it. So my staff decided to block off the far side passageway in Rock Hall, right? The one that connects the two rooms. And I said, why'd you guys do that? And I'm like, they're like, I don't know. I don't know why we did it. I don't know. So I said, well, there you go. I said, that area back in that side of the house. And I mentioned when Christina was there with me last time, she mentioned it that whatever's in that house loves that far side corridor passageway. It's dark, it's whatever. And here's my staff, whatever, blocking off access to that little space. And so I thought about it, and I'm like, what the words that I heard that thing say to me sounded, now that I think about it, like, you got to go back over there. And that's what I heard. And I'm thinking, what is he talking about? And I think he's talking about taking the ropes down. And like you got to get people back over in that corridor. Got to go back over there. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take those ropes down. And I did. So, you know, it's that, I don't know what's in that house. I can tell you that my staff, my living history people, the prevailing apparitions they see on that site are 90% Civil War. And I'm pretty certain that that's what many of them are. But you have 3.5 centuries of people living on that land, so who knows?
Ryan, you're muted again.
Okay, that better?
Yes.
I don't remember even hitting this stupid microphone. We did an EVP session. I'm gonna try to play it, but I don't know because it's on SoundCloud and it's a crappy ass recorder I used like 10 years ago. But I'm gonna try to find it here. Hang on.
Where was this at, Ryan?
Rock Hall upstairs. We did an EVP session. We're in the bedroom, all the way at the end. Not where the main big bed is, but the bedroom at the far end of the hallway upstairs. And my friend asked if she could sit down and or feel her energy again. And the lady says, "Thank you." And you hear a little girl's voice say, "Welcome."
Could you let us feel the coolness one more time? Feel your energy. Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you. You hear that welcome at the very end?
Yeah, it's very, very,
Yeah.
very
faint.
Sounding. Yeah.
But it was just me and the lady there, and I forgot her name. Sandy, I think her name was. We were there with Dennis and a bunch of people. It was pretty late, I think. But there was no other kid. There was no kid with us. And we got an intelligent response to her saying thank you. There is a couple of them had like Native American voices that you can't really hear. There was a funny one I caught. It was actually at Walkerton Tavern. Remember we went there to investigate. You were singing a sea shanty, and I said something like, "Oh, John's down there singing a sea shanty or something," and you hear a little girl's voice saying, "Evil." I was like, "Oh, okay." And so your singing wasn't that bad. Come on now, but
Oh yeah, I mean, I have an evil voice.
I'll send it. I'll send that one too. That's actually pretty funny. So when you first started, working at Henricus, did you have any belief in the paranormal? How has your belief and comfortableness with the paranormal changed throughout your time at Henricus Park?
Yeah, I mean, I've been experiencing the paranormal since the early '90s with the stuff I do. Back when we were using little actual cassette tape recorders to try to get EVPs. And I think all the historic site work I've done, Ryan, has shaped me because I've been around it more consistently. Being that I've been at Henricus for 18 years now. Oh my God. I think what it's done, it's given me a fishbowl, right? I literally study this place, and it's helped me see the fluctuations in what could be hauntings, right? Like it's not, there's nothing that happens on a certain consistent level. There's certain times it goes up, and there's times it just goes away for a while. There's certain people that draw it out more than others. There's times where it appears for people more than others. There's certain events we do where right after that or during it happens a lot. So it's proven to me that there is a science to it, but it's not a perfect science.
I guess working at a location and just constantly being around it, you can pick up on certain things, certain idiosyncrasies that happen throughout the year. Where people are like, we've got to figure out if the spirits are more active in the spring or summertime, or I guess it doesn't really matter. It's either active when they feel like being active,
right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna bring some friends to the other sites in the future, because I want to know what I'm dealing with when I'm going in there. The two houses that are being renovated right now, not a single paranormal person has ever investigated in those houses before.
I volunteer.
So I just brought someone to one of those houses recently, and they walked into a certain room, and they're like, I do not like what's in that room. And I was like, okay. So now what I got to literally do is start all over again at these other locations. So it's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be interesting to see what
Yeah.
Because once you have a repertoire with the spirits there, and that's important, right, Rhonda, to when you're at a location, because you guys at Belgrove and myself at the cabin, we have a kind of a relationship with the spirits.
I think so, yeah.
And John has a relationship with the spirits at Henricus. Now he's got to reestablish or establish in a relationship with the spirits at all these other locations.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Man, I know that when I'm in Rock Hall, for one example, I know that spirit the other day was just trying to tell me something. Just like, hey, man, I got something I want to say. I don't think it was trying to do me ill will. I just wish it wouldn't happen when I'm blowing a candle out in the middle of a dark room.
Yeah. That's kind of
That's what
shady
happens, right?
right
When you
there.
least expect it.
It was like a scene from The Conjuring. I'm like literally blowing out a candle in a dark room. He's like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh god.
At least they weren't clapping or whatever they
I
do
know.
in the Conjuring move.
Like,
I'd be out. You know what?
that's why I bring an extra pair of shorts to every site I go to, Ryan, just because of that.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. So let's before I let you go, tell us about the event you guys have coming up at the end of October.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, if people want to get a ticket and get on one of those tours, you just go through the Chesterfield County Parks and Recreation sign-up page, which if I had access to that right now, I'd just send a link to that. But that event runs 7 to like 8:30, I think, are the tour times. But that is a place where you don't need a lot. If you like just being in a creepy environment, and the thing that's really good is that the dramatic vignettes we act out are really good, but you can just take in the vibes of the place while you're sitting there in the middle of those.
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
especially,
I mean, I recommend it.
It's a lot of fun, especially being there like when the sun's going down, and we're walking the park, and you got the torches set up, and the sun's going down, and it's got that fall vibe to it. It feels like you're in Sleepy Hollow, for any lack of a better description, like Terrytown. The fall, the leaves, and the pumpkins. It's really, really a lot of fun. If you're in the area, definitely come out and see us. It's gonna be great. So, and of course, Henricus is a great park, not just paranormal, but it's a living history museum, and it's the interpreters out there do such an amazing job with just showing the public what life was like back in the early 1600s. And I would definitely, if you're in the area, definitely recommend going and visiting the park and just show your support, because it's a lot of fun. It's great way to spend the afternoon. But yeah, I definitely want to thank you, John, for coming on the show and joining us to give us a little bit of a history lesson. It was fun learning about just people's point of view on the paranormal.
Agreed.
Back in early America.
Yeah, anytime people have any questions about that, just send me a note, send me a message, and I'll chat about that stuff for a long time.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. I need to get in touch with you about coming out to investigate out there again. I think the last time I was out there was the Indian massacre that took place in March, which I'm sure lots of paranormal activity happened out there because of that. I remember being inside of the hospital, the representation of their hospital, and we were doing a spirit box session. We're sitting on the floor in the hospital, and I start hearing, to me, what sounds like screaming and stuff outside, like women and children, just mass chaos outside. And I thought maybe it was white noise from the spirit box, but it sounded so like real. And I looked at one of the girls that were in my group, and she just had this white look on her face, like the color gone from her face. And she walked out of the building, and I'm like, well, it'd be kind of weird if I walked out right after her, Yeah. So I waited a few minutes, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna go outside too and check on her. And she was there outside, and she had her hands on her knees, kind of bent over. I'm like, did you hear that? Did you hear it too? And she was like, what'd you hear? I'm like, did you hear the women and children outside? And she was like, yeah. So it's like we heard whatever was happening during the massacre outside, and you know, it sounded like, again, it sounded very, very real. And you know, we'll have to have you back on to talk about. We've have you talk about what happened in March of was it 1624?
Yeah. So I always thought it'd be really good to have a paranormal event on the anniversary of that massacre attack. You know, um, and yeah, it was March 22nd, 1622.
Yeah.
And I am convinced. I'm convinced that there are spirits that linger from that attack.
You know, when we did go out there, it was actually on the anniversary last March. I did get some stuff in Rock Hall when we were
That's
doing
right.
investigating out there.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's where I came up with the idea of like, why don't we come out here every night on March 22nd? Like, that seems like a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm down. I can be out there. You know, we'll figure it out, man. But I know you've got a lot of you're busy. I know you need to get some sleep. So I'm gonna let you go, and I will see you in a couple of weeks at Henricus for the Things That Go Bump in the Night event. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and hopefully I add it to your show. It's a good show, and if it needs me, just you know where to find me.
It was awesome, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good night. That was awesome. I really
learned so much tonight. I love it when I learn something from the show.
Yeah, it's a kind of a different kind of a different show.
But hey, I feel like it was like right on time for spooky season.
You couldn't have asked for a better show topic. We will try to get Nissa once she recovers back on the show to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. Thursday night we're having an October spiritual chat with Holly Mullins this Thursday night on TikTok. It's a TikTok exclusive show.
9 p.m. Eastern.
Yes, Joey, go to the Freakin' Awesome Paranormal Show TikTok page. Give us a follow, and you can join us. And we're just gonna shoot the shit for an hour. Holly was one of my original co-hosts of the Freakin' Awesome Paranormal Show, and we both have a birthday this week. Her birthday was yesterday.
Yep.
My birthday is on Saturday, so we'd have our birthday shows every October, and they usually just kind of went off the rails. But imagine that. This time we're just gonna be talking spiritual. So we haven't had a spiritual talk on the TikTok show. We haven't had a good spiritual talk in a while. Yeah. I think the last one we had was when you were talking to Dana back.
You were on vacation.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's going to be fun. Then on Tuesday, we have Tiffany Jones from Transcend Paranormal coming on. We're super excited to talk to her. I've never really talked to her about her paranormal experiences. So I'm excited to have her on the show. And then a week from Thursday, we have Dana Marie Volmer coming on the TikTok to give free tarot card readings. So if you want a general reading on the show, TikTok, join us next Thursday night for our show with Dana Marie Volmer. And that's about it, guys. This was a fun show.
Yeah.
And Rhonda, what do you have to add to the conversation before we go?
I don't think anything. I'm trying to think. We've got an event. Let me look it up really quick. FPRI has an event on the 25th. Let me make sure I get the name of the place we're supposed to be. I know they're selling tickets. Where is it? I can't find it. Did I not go far enough? Here we go. We will be in Fredericksburg at A. Smith Bowman Distillery
Oh, nice.
for an event called Booze and Bourbon.
Oh, even nicer.
I think they're going to have a few little things going on, but we are going to do a tour and an investigation of the distillery because some of the people that work there say they have had experiences. So it is a public event, so you just have to get a ticket. I know tickets are limited, so we will be there on the 25th.
25th. So I will see you on Friday, October 24th at Henricus Park.
Yep.
Awesome.
I'd have to come on Friday. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, that's gonna be fun, man. That sounds like a lot of fun. Going to a distillery and drinking spirits while hanging out with the spirits.
Booze and bourbon.
You cannot beat that.
Exactly.
Man, like I said, guys, enjoy October while you still can because it's gonna be gone, and we're gonna be
gone. We're gonna be talking about turkeys.
We're gonna be talking about Thanksgiving stuffing. There'll be Christmas lights everywhere before you know it.
Oh, I mean, I'm telling you, I bet you people November 1st, day after Thanksgiving.
I am putting Christmas music on. I had Christmas music on in my car earlier. Not gonna lie. I want a funny story to tell you before we go. So
I'm not sure about how I feel about Christmas music before Halloween, but
I mean, it was I don't know why I had it on. Honestly. So I woke up this morning and I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning. Luna was looking at my face, right? So I woke up and took the dog out, and Angie comes out. I was like, did you sleep okay? She was like, no, you kept me up all night. It's getting up and getting back down again. I'm like, I only got up once. And that's when Luna got up. He was like, no, you didn't. You got up, went down the hallway, went in RJ's room, went to the refrigerators, moving stuff around. I had no idea. Did not remember doing it at all.
What was in your melatonin tea last night, Ryan?
I don't know. But apparently I was doing a little sleepwalking.
Oh my gosh.
Last night. So I don't know what I was like. No,
did you wake up tired?
No. I mean, I woke up 5 o'clock in the morning. I was a little bit tired, but I remember the only time I remember getting up is when I went to take the dog out because she had got me up from, at 5 o'clock. I was like, I might as well get up now. Yeah, might as well stay up. It was I went back to got up at 5:30 or something because I tried to go back to sleep, but
that's wild. You don't remember it all.
Nope.
Have you been known to sleepwalk?
This is the first time.
That's wild.
So, a little bit of interesting story. Guys, we will see you on Thursday night right here on TikTok. I kind of like using the phone better. I don't know.
The phone is easier and it sets up those boxes better.
It does. It sounded different. It sounded like
it did.
I thought it probably sounds better with a microphone, but I think I might just keep using the phone.
Because before when we did it, and I don't know why, like you were fine, but like when we had Dennis on, when I would talk or Dennis would talk, I heard an echo. I don't know if Dennis did or not.
I heard an echo. I kept hearing the echo too, and it didn't sound as bad. It doesn't sound as bad when you listen to the playback on the podcast stuff. But I think it's just easier to try to do this on the computer and the TikTok show on the phone.
So yeah, I mean, I really like doing it on a computer, but the phone, it just, I guess TikTok is designed for phones.
Yeah, this is true. Maybe if I had a better computer. This is kind of old, so maybe if I had a better one, I'd be able to do more stuff. But sometimes
mine is pretty new, and I struggled. I didn't get the notifications you sent me and stuff like that.
Oh.
So
all right, well, that's what we'll know. We'll do it on the phone. So all right, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in, and we'll see you Thursday night on TikTok with Holly Mullins. Have a good one night. We'll see you.
Good night, everyone.
Same freaking awesome time.
Same freaking awesome show.
See you then. Bye.